her, you need to know what they are doing. You need to know what plans they have. And so before they even execute their plans, you are there on them. And that can only happen if you have intelligence. And that intelligence, for me, much as the police itself has a lot to do, the citizens will have to help. But again, the police must help the citizens.
Exactly. Now, the next one which you touched had to do with the role of the police in the last problem we had at the State Assembly. How do you look at the role of the police in that matter? Because there was even some spraying of water and gas canisters that seemed to have affected the governor of the state and all that, and they said it was inadvertent.
Yeah, I was not there on the scene. I wouldn't know exactly.
Yes,
what
but from the
feelers and the reports that
yes,
were
you think police played a good role?
The police didn't do well. Again, we're talking about our state, and we're talking about the governor of the state.
Yeah.
So we're talking about building confidence. With the generality of the people of the state, so that your work can be made easy.
Yes,
now, if the citizens will be watching and see you, do the kind of thing you did to the governor, what confidence are you giving to them, the ordinary people? And just look at what they did to Ajero in Imo State.
There's a story like that. We'll come to that.
Continually, they put themselves sometimes in a position where it becomes very difficult to work with the people.
Yeah.
The people always they now begin to look at this as they versus us. And here you are, the chief security officer can be that assaulted. No policeman will tell me you didn't identify him on the street. Okay, if you didn't identify him, what about the security around him? So if they have no excuse as far as that matter is concerned.
Yeah, I think that would have been a saner way to disperse because they said they saw some talks coming towards him. So they wanted to disperse them to make sure that no harm befalls the
can tell all the stories they want
but
I
think
it is important.
Yes.
What I find very important is that I think they need to rejig themselves. They need to retrain and reorientate themselves in their operations, especially when it has to do with the people, so that we're applauding them, fight criminals, be hard on criminals. Yes, and that is what you are.
But when it comes to crowd control, riot and protest,
maybe they need more training on that to be able to. Much as I also admit that when you find a situation like that, and especially in our climate where you have a lot of arms and ammunition, and people carry light arms and weapons are everywhere, it becomes a little bit. But I'm sure even within this there will be rules of engagement, even in that same situation, such that you don't get to doing whatever happened in that situation. I think the police has an apology to render, and then let this thing go.
Yeah, I think they did. The commissioner of police said they thought they were even trying to help him, but it was finding a big mess. We were lucky there were no live ammunition, because sometimes,
even though they're talking about one dead and then somebody crying about a child dead, and police is saying, well, they couldn't, they can't, they were not aware of any casualties.
It's possible because some people are asthmatic, some people are, hypertensive.
So that situation needs to be properly investigated. Yes. And if something is done,
what about the burning of the assembly itself?
I think the entire episode,
So there was lack of security activism in the whole issue.
Yeah, sometimes even the biggest of men can be taken by surprise. Surprise is an element that, in warfare, that can be very devastating. It has happened to Israel now. And,
the thing about surprise and they're just fighting back.
So it's something that can happen.
Yes.
But after such incidents, one would expect that the whole investigation should be carried out. In the case of Rivers State House of Assembly and all that, I have not heard that.
I
just read as I was
investigation going on.
Yes, to unravel everything that happened. The entire episode, as solid as it is. As I was coming, I read the governor's press statement this morning, and it didn't appear to go in that direction.
It's maybe a little snippet. What was it?
I think it didn't say much. It tried to explain on the head of the incident Sunday night. And on Monday he decided to go and see, and then what he heard was that the assembly was divided. And he thanks the president for intervention and the elders for the intervention, that peace is being made and that River State needs peace to progress.
So who knows? What will be the status of the speaker himself? What is the status of the speaker?
So nothing.
Nobody has said anything about it.
I'm not sure.
So the conflict is yet to be resolved, because from the language of all the stakeholders, it does appear that the speaker is still there, because even the court act order restraining assembly from further impeachment, and I'm not sure it will talk about the new speaker. It will be about the old speaker who launched it.
That matters.
No, that's a different narrative. Yes. Let's talk about something. This time, the judiciary. Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Amadi, has granted pardon to 53 inmates standing trial for various offenses at the Port Harcourt Maximum Correctional Center. The exercise is part of the activities outlined to kick off the 2023 legal year in the state, as well as being a move to decongest the Maximum Correctional Center in Port. I think that's the same story for me. Mr. Amadi said the exercise is also in compliance with the provision of Section 34, Subsection 1 of the Criminal Justice Law of Rivers State, and the Special Provision Act of the Laws of the Federation, which empowers the Chief Judge to visit the Correctional Center to ascertain the number of inmates in custody, their duration of stay, and determine those serving a pardon. Mr. Amadi also used the opportunity to call on the police to be thorough in their investigations before charging the suspect to court. Looking further, he advised the released inmates to be of good conduct. In his remarks, the Controller General of the Correctional Service, Felix Lawrence, commended the Criminal Justice System Administration in the state for effectively decongesting Port Harcourt Maximum Correctional Service, revealing that at his assumption of office, June, with over 4,000 inmates, the number has dropped by 1,000. Our correspondent reports that the inmates granted pardon are those who have been in the correction center for 5 and 9 years respectively, and standing trial as awaiting trial inmates who had no information filed against them by the Department of Police prosecution in the High Court. 5, 9 years. They've already spent, except it's a case of murder, they've already...
There's no case filed against them.
For 5, 9 years. That's the problem we have. Sometimes, we have another guest who will be coming. I'll throw this story back to him when he comes. He's a lawyer. Now, sometimes this issue of prison congestion is a big issue. They talk about we don't have enough personnel. They talk about lack of Black Maria to convene them to court. The correctional center doesn't have enough facilities. These are some of the issues we have in Nigeria, and we'll talk about prison reforms. Of course, that's a very big issue. The only thing we saw in the reform was change of nomenclature. I want to take it off from there. That's the only thing we saw. Appointment of more judges and more magistrates. Yes, they are appointed. In the last administration did a lot in the state by building another magistrate court. Appointed a lot of magistrates, appointed judges. I'm not sure they are lacking personnel in that direction. This is all part of the recommendation that a lot of stakeholders made for prison reform. So in Rivers State, it's only that aspect of more personnel. But in terms of facilities that will enable the staffers of the correctional center bring inmates to prison, bring inmates to court, doesn't seem to have been solved. So take it from there. How many Black Marias do you see? Some of them, when you see, they look like coffins.
I think, okay, beyond the name change, I think even
yes.
Ceding of some responsibilities to the state too.
Yes.
This time around now, it's no longer like federal facility, state, you manage your
state
own.
Managers,
so you know,
it's part of the reform.
Probably that is what has happened here. Okay. Why this drastic reduction?
Okay, from 4,000 to 1,000.
3,000 by 1,000. I mean, it's
exactly.
Huge. It's massive. Because it is no longer federal responsibility
alone.
The state has a role. To feel some weight. So everybody wants to. And for me, the entire justice delivery system, I'm looking at police is key.
Yeah, police is key because there was a responsibility given to the proper investigation before you prosecute.
And that, beyond that one, is it everybody that you just pick on the street and then for whatever, you just go and keep there, take to court, and then the next thing...
Like in the days of Decree 1. You remember the days of Decree 1?
There are cases that you can just resolve there at the counter and people can go home. That's why they call you peacemakers. But you go, maybe because one person is not able to play ball properly, one person is not doing it, okay. And then another person probably come and say, okay, because he has more money than the other, I will deal with you. I'll put you behind bars.
I'll put you behind bars. And it becomes some kind of, bragging right.
Of course.
Bragging right by the people. So the people also have a role to play.
That is what happens in our society. No, when that person is talking, he's not talking as what he has powers to do. He is to influence the police to do it.
Okay.
And if it is not his right, within his own powers to do, and he's relying on somebody else, it becomes the responsibility of that person to say, no, this is not what the police is here for. Because you have the money, you can put anybody behind bars just for nothing. So I think we just need to get to that level, that point where the police is reformed to that point where nobody comes and then oppresses another person because you have whatever you have, and then just I'll deal with you.
You're bragging right. So this, I think, is the mentality of our people.
So a lot of people.
And police is conniving with them, and that is adding to prison congestion.
Of course.
And innocent people are dying there.
Very well.
In fact, if you go to a magistrate court, I see the number of young children that come. Because magistrate court is a criminal court. You see a lot of young people that come, very young people. They are crowded. Some of them were just picked randomly for being in the wrong place, not necessarily because they committed an offense. They send them to the magistrate court. Then the magistrate reminds them in prison. And some of them don't have the wherewithal to build themselves. Sometimes their parents are not even aware. And they stay there over and over and over and over, and they say it's at ATM, awaiting trial man, and all that. So why wouldn't we have prison congestion? That the maximum prison in Port Harcourt had up to 3,000, 4,000, awaiting trial. And it was just recently when this man came that it reduced to 4,000, to 1,000. I think there is something big there. The goal delivery, that's what they call it, the goal delivery by the chief judge. I think that is good. 53 of them were let loose, were released, and out of that 53, the breakdown is that some of them are serving between 5 and 9 years. 5 and 9 years, like we said at the beginning. Is it not maximum sentence?
And you want it's that, close to, go and check it. Some of the crimes may just be just little.
They stole somebody's bread, or they found themselves in a bunk smoking.
Just somewhere that probably in the wrong place.
Wrong place and all that.
And then they are just there.
I think that justice system, our criminal justice system, needs to be much more. But no matter how it is, I want to talk from I'm not trying to be pessimistic. The Nigerian factor, because in our profession we're not usually pessimistic. The Nigerian factor is one factor that seems to be driving this negative narrative. The correctional center personnel have their role to play in this. The police in particular, no matter what you do, will always come with this negative trend of, massaging the ego of some of these people, dragging right off. I will put you there, and nothing will happen, and you stay there forever. I will lock you up and throw away the key. So that's a huge matter. So sometimes when we put this at the doorstep of government, we should also look at the mentality of Nigerians that indulge these officials in creating this problem. Even at the magistrate courts too, some lawyers, are slow in their prosecution, are not diligent. And some magistrates too are not diligent. I remember talking about some magistrates and judicial officers. I heard when one chief judge was addressing judicial officers during one legal year, I was talking about starting court proceedings very late, beyond 9 o'clock. You know, it's part of it. Then something has to be done with those who bring these officials to court and all that. I think a lot has to be said about this, but it's a good thing that the gold delivery is going on.
Out of
and then the narrative that we have 4,000 and we now have 1,000.
We need to echo the Chief Justice's charge to the police, to the released inmates.
Okay, to be a good behavior. They should not go there and enlarge the population of criminals.
I just hope they have not picked up some very innocent ones that have not picked up certain behaviors within the
exactly bad behavior.
But whatever it is, they should reciprocate this gesture.
Yeah.
By being of good behavior.
It's like Jesus said, "Go and sin no more." All right, let's look at this story. A lot of stories are coming from River State this morning. But this is national television. When JTF arrests vessel with illegally refined diesel, Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe has arrested an MV Mother Mary vessel with 3,000 liters of illegally refined agro diesel, that's agro diesel, as well as 2 of its crew members in River State. OPDS seized the vessel at the Federal Ocean Terminal in the Eleme Council area of River State at the Bonny River addressing journalists in Port Harcourt. The component commander OPDS Commodore John Siabonde, who represented the OPDS commander Rear Admiral Olusegun Ferreira, disclosed that the vessel was arrested on the 29th of October 2023. Also indicated that before Sunday's seizure, OPDS had impounded 2 vessels, MV Cecilia and MV Uforma, which were being used for illegal activities. The commander also stated that the 2 arrested suspects will be handed over to the appropriate authorities for possible prosecution, while warning all those who are involved in any form of illegality to stop immediately, or the long arm of the law will catch up with them. Well, this is a natural story, even though it happened here in River State. You're talking about oil thieves. So many vessels are still there. And when we talk about the operations of the security operatives in the country, the Navy cannot be, left out, especially when it comes to riverine areas like Rivers, Delta, Ondo, Cross River, and the Niger Delta generally. The oil thieves are still thriving.
The oil thieves are still thriving, and they will continue.
And they illegally refine.
They will continue to thrive. And we cannot say this
because they have patronage. Do you know that of all the oil-fire refined crude, diesel seems to be the only one that is very effective, and they seem to have gotten it right. And virtually every business operation in Nigeria, uses crude from there, uses refined crude from the agro, from that that level of illegality. That's a big problem. And if you don't have patronage, certain criminality can only thrive when there is patronage, right?
When you talk about patronage, it's a matter of demand and supply, and then the price factor, and then within the environment. When people are looking for jobs, there are no jobs. And when the price of the pump price of diesel is now about 1,000 whatever, and then this one is as good, if not better, than even the one you get at the pump.
It's cheaper, right?
Probably. Even the quality, probably cheaper. There's no difference between this one you get there.
Yes, they got it right. They got the agro. They got it right.
So,
it's only petrol that they don't know how to do.
No, they do.
But it's not good.
It's
called
more costly.
To refine.
More. That's why you don't hear more of profile now, because in the process of refining, by the time you're getting to the fuel, the PMS, it becomes more inflammable.
Okay.
So that is when it actually explodes.
So that's why they're concentrating on diesel.
So diesel. At least at that level, it is not as highly inflammable as the other.
Okay.
So, diesel and kerosene.
Kerosene. That's what they're doing now.
More. So, in an environment where you have the level of unemployment we have, and then unavailability at the at affordable price of this material, of these products. You talk about kerosene, you can't even have it on the pump, at the pump now. It's absolutely, it's just not there. And yet, it is one commodity that they have, that the poor people actually need. So, when there is that level of demand, supply will have to, you would expect that people would look for, the market is there. So there's huge market for it. So it becomes just a matter of risk. These people taking risk to ensure, and of course if there's no risk, every business has its own risk. And instead of, for some of them, unemployed, what am I doing? Nothing. And then this thing is there. If it's just a risk file, let me just go in. And then you have the collaboration of the security agencies. Where they are talking about seizing of this one. You can imagine before they seize these two,
and before they seized and declared. Because not even the seized and declared.
I'm sure that maybe hundreds would have passed. So it's because they do not even have adequate. They don't have adequate personnel and materials to actually police all this.
In those small creeks.
And that is why they have engaged people like Tantita and all that, for surveillance and all of that. So it is really, really difficult
to stop.
It is difficult to stop. The only way you could, for me, as difficult as it is, so government needs to come clean with this. Face the reality, face the truth of the situation. That this is not just what we can stop. And if that be so, then think differently, look for alternative means.
So what do you think? Modular refinery?
Former Vice President, said it.
Modular refineries?
Modular refineries. Call these people artisanal, whatever, and they are doing it right. They are getting it.
Can the state be involved?
So why not call these children, legalize it, see how you can help them to do this thing better.
These are their personal businesses. Okay, give them support.
Give them support.
From cooperatives.
From cooperatives, just set the rules for environmental issues, and then by the time you open it up, now you can also go and inspect and ensure that, and then allow them to, introduce technology.
And then pay back. Just as industrial banks do.
As long as we continue to say, oh, it's illegal and this and we're wasting our time. How long have we been on this?
Well, it's still going.
It is still going on.
And for it to be in a seaport like One, it means that it's going outside the country.
It is what it is happening here. In any case,
the
vessel we're talking about is actually maybe large ones that are taking crude out
the country. That's what I'm saying.
Not even these ones that we're talking about.
For them to be in those vessels, they are going outside the country.
Going outside the country. Now, so at that level, it is not this even small ones.
No.
Big people at very high levels are involved. You know how much one of that vessel costs. So it is not. It is not small boys that are involved in those businesses. They are very huge businesses.
And some of the protectors too.
You will have people at very high
those in pipeline surveillance.
Yes. So
the big guns may be involved. Who knows?
It is unfortunate that we are in this country that this is happening, and government appears to be. But until government itself is able to take care of that, to solve its security problem, this won't stop. As long as government is not able to put its feet down to say our security forces or we have enough security to take care of it, won't stop. You can't take out, concession that security to private individuals and don't expect them to profit by it when you know that they themselves are sometimes part of the business, or they have been part of the business.
That is the point.
So how do you trust them enough to, you can only what the result you get is only going to be just minimal, very, very minimal.
Interesting narrative there. I think we've dwelt so long on this matter over time. The same issue of illegally refined crude. This time it has gone to a magnitude that is going international. And that's one thing that Nigerians must. So why not do the needful, invest in this business, fund cooperatives, bring those who are involved, improve the technology so that you have a safe environment. And there we go. But every time we talk about this, let's talk about the off-season election. That's the next narrative now. Talking about the November 11 elections, very close. And we're talking about Bayelsa. Less than 9 days to the Bayelsa governorship election, that's less than 8 days. The fresh suit seeking the disqualification of Governor Duyo Dere and his deputy, Lawrence Ehurdiakpo. It has begun today began at the Federal High Court. The suit before Justice Emeka Nwite sought an order of mandatory injunction directing the Independent Electoral Commission to remove the names of Dere and Ehurdiakpo as PDP's candidate in November 11 election. The suit filed by Bayelsa woman Blessing Clement as a Banaba through her lawyer Ifeanyi Suo further sought a declaration that Ehurdiakpo was not qualified to run as deputy governor under the PDP. She therefore urged the court to declare that the PDP had no candidate in the poll. Subsequently, the judge adjourned the matter until November 30 for hearing. Now, the Bayelsa issue is becoming serious. Litigations.
November 30, that's when the election would have been done.
I don't know.
Election would have been done on the election is 11th.
I don't know. What? But you can nullify. You can nullify if you can.
See, without much ado about this, I think this is only somebody like a reprisal, if you like. Maybe somebody else went to court against Silver. This is somebody else exactly. Also give them
let's stabilize them and.
But I think it is superfluous.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just nothing because it is now established beyond, all doubts that only people who were aspirants, fellow aspirants at the
primary level can go to court. This is a kind of distraction.
So this actually has nothing to do. But the court need to do something. Find these people who bring these frivolous things heavily so that you can stop it.
Yes, they say we don't have that in our laws because people bring frivolous cases
and
lawyers bring cases that they know.
And then you go and
sometimes they discipline them. Yeah, the cost we ask you to pay cost, but the cost is not as heavy as the distraction.
No, we have to find a way of getting this. Otherwise, these things are.
And then discourage lawyers. I think the emphasis should be on lawyers who bring some of these frivolous cases.
Yeah.
It's not just for you to earn a living, but it's interesting.
Have to look for a way to.
Let's look at the next story. It's also based on that because we'll soon knock off this first hour. All Progressive Congress candidate for the November 11th gubernatorial election in Bayelsa State, the people receiver said the People's Democratic Party backdoor tactics for winning election won't work again in the state. Silva stated this while addressing newsmen at the State House, Abuja, after collecting the ruling APC's flag from President Bola Tinubu to run for a second term. He said his legal tussle, which led to his disqualification, contest the election before he was restored by the appeal court, would not affect his chances as he never stopped his campaign through the period. And while the Independent National Electoral Commission has met with stakeholders to address the issue of security for the successful conduct of November 11 governorship election in Bayelsa State, INEC declared this through a statement issued on its X handle Friday. The commission noted that security tops its agenda ahead of the gubernatorial poll in Nigeria. The electoral body stated that security agencies are critical to the successful conduct of the election and Bayelsa governorship election scheduled for November 11, 2023. You see what is going on there? We're still talking about the electoral process in Nigeria. Sometimes we have more problems, more trouble with intra-party activity, intra-party democratic process. We have the issue of legitimacy. of candidates being challenged by other parties and even within the parties and all that. All this drag on. I begin to wonder, what time do they have to prepare for governance in case they win the election? Because the electoral process is also one area that keeps them busy. Before you go into office, you have to be prepared. You have to show zeal and willingness to run. If after you have been pushed left, right, and center, pounded, at the end of the day you win, it looks like pirate victory.
We need to, our electoral system needs some reformation, and INEC is key in this matter. The day politicians realize that they can no longer manipulate the system, and that at the end of the day it is the people's vote truly cast at the polling unit that will determine who becomes winner in any election. I think all of this will naturally fizzle out. For Bayelsa, my major concern is the issue of security. Anybody can say what he wants to say, but these people, the candidates in that election, must commit to non-violence. They must commit to it and ensure that they don't stoke they do not engage in any violence within that election. And if anything, there should be consequences for anybody or any party that involves in that. And I see, the moment that happens, a lot of what they say is okay, if only the people truly, well, Bayelsa are the people that will actually determine it without fear, without intimidation. Because up till now, INEC is still worried about security. Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi election. Still, just imagine what has happened in Imo. It is also related to.
Yes, we'll go to Imo State. There's another story
Kogi
on that.
Is there, and then Bayelsa. People are really afraid. Otherwise, when you hear, it almost looked like a very simple election actually.
So why is it going to end with all this? Silva and Dere will still run, possibly.
No, of course they are running.
Yeah, and okay, Dere has Silva has been cleared.
Yes.
Now, at the end of the day, what is the atmosphere? What do you think will be the end of it? Which party seems to be stronger?
If you are listening to
because Jerry said, Silva said, despite the setback he had in the litigation that followed his nomination, that he will still win because he was campaigning while the litigation was going on, even when he was appeared to have been disqualified. Do you think that optimism can drive any success?
It's not even about just campaigning. If you look at these candidates, there is a third one, Edenks Eraduri, as of the Labour Party. That appears to be the underdog now. These two are fighting, the two big ones. Incidentally, these two big ones are not new to governance.
Exactly.
Governance in
They have all been governors.
Have all been governors. So at the end of the
one
day,
is still
it is more like a referendum on their performance in governance. Silva had been there. What I have not had Silva tell people of Bayelsa in his campaigns is his scorecard in his previous out.
I saw him doing that in a national television. He didn't sound convincing.
He didn't convince anybody. So you are still talking about what you will do this one. When you were there, you got that opportunity for 4 years. That's it, at least. All these places you're talking about, we'll do rice here, we'll do power here and all that. Give us an insight as to the little things that you were able to do.
There was something he said that when someone asked what he left in government house that he wants to go and pick, he said, well, there are so many things he left undone. He was in the process of doing them and couldn't accomplish them. and he set the ball rolling. So this time, he's set to accomplish them. Is that a good narrative?
Well, the people
I for somebody teach you say I for, not you say.
And the people
of say you do have.
I'm not sure you even convince the people of Bayelsa.
Okay.
Because if you put your ears to the ground, Bayelsa, honestly, I'm not sure a lot of people are excited about the Silva's candidacy. They have even gone to the point of APC now accusing themselves like the house itself is not so together. When you hear people accusing people like Heineken Bepobri, the minister, and the parties, he's playing anti-party, he's supporting.
Because Jerry paid a courtesy visit to the president.
And all of that. They are jittery, as it were. I see APC not so confident in the election. Well, I will win, or we will win. I don't know how. I hope they will leave the choice to the people of Bayelsa.
Yeah, what about Diri? Yes, what about Diri?
Diri appears...
Does it seem to be a governor that can be given a second chance?
I think so. If what the feelers I get from there is anything to go by. Comparatively, he appears to have done fairly well. And Bayelsans, I say, well, if you look at the candidates here, this one.
Well, see what he's doing.
And what he's doing.
Maybe maturity.
And yes, the level-headedness. And
former senator.
That. So he appears to be, for the ordinary Bayelsan, they can go with this one, who has some even empathy. So much the people were talking about. But it can't be a perfect person. So he will still have his own pitfalls as well. But then, when you compare them, he appears to gain more popularity.
Yes, you are very versatile with issues like this because you've been a roving journalist, and since you started handling the positions of national vice president. Now, you talked about the third force. What can he make an impact?
Incidentally, I don't know. Maybe he does not have the wherewithal, sufficient wherewithal to do much. And his hope, actually, is mainly on the youth population. But that youth population, also can be swayed. Of the candidates, he appears to have the least war chest.
Don't worry.
War chest.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
or at least war chest, and then worry too.
And then the campaign is not also as vigorous as...
Yes, we don't seem to be hearing much.
Maybe because of its limited
resources.
War chest resources. So he's that way. But if these two people go and fight and cancel out themselves, I don't know what the nature of fight will be, but the security agencies should be able to create a conducive atmosphere for people to go and freely express themselves. Yeah. If that happens, again, he's not just, I think he's even the youngest of the three.
And that's why the advantage of youth.
Yeah. But are the youth really upbeat about him? It's difficult to see. Because at the end of the day, they are looking at, Bayelsa people are looking at where their bread is buttered.
That is a factor in Nigerian politics.
Yes. Who at this moment, they can truly say, they can easily go with.
Yeah.
He is a greenhorn, as it were. Not as in being in the public eye, because he's quite, he was with the IYC and all that.
Yeah.
He's actually well known in that wise.
Yes.
But coming to committing the affairs of the state, running of their affairs into the hands of such a young person, I don't know whether at this particular point in time want to take that risk. So he has that limitation of the money, and then even the youth, whether they will want to trust him enough. in his public life, where else has he actually been apart from the IYC business? I'm not sure he has had so much exposure in governance. So, again, all of that will come to play. And then, as we speak, Bayelsa is almost completely taken over by PDP. Yeah. They have the senators, they have the reps, they have the assembly.
So the antecedent is strong.
They have the assembly, so they are well entrenched.
Unless there's do you think violence will have any role to play in that?
Seriously, that's what I said. That's my greatest fear, and it's the worry of even the Independent National Electoral Commission. It's been the worry of everybody, because leading to this time, I mean, before now, there was an upsurge, especially in the brass axis, brass Nimbe axis. Yeah, I mean, serious upsurge.
Well, that's much we can take in the first hour of the program. It's a 3-hour program. In the second hour, we're having Chukwudi Ejimo for joining the fray. I know the next story has to do with violence and IPOB during the polls. That's the next story. That's our first take in the second segment of the program. Don't forget, it is still Atn Saturday, your flagship program on weekend, coming to you live from Atlantic Television Network. We'll be right back.